So, welcome to another beautiful conversation on women who should be famous. And I feel such gratitude for the women that say yes, and often a hell yes, and very quickly too. And this time it's a yes from Natalie Campbell. Now, we're going to cover social entrepreneurship, we're going to cover Earth Month, and we're also going to cover a little bit of conversation on becoming Mayor of London. Now, I was first compelled actually to reach out to Natalie after first hearing her on a podcast with Holly Tucker, a fellow MBE. And it was a conversation on finances. And a short while after, I saw Baloo, a company that Natalie co-founded, release a brochure that highlighted not only the job spec, but was very transparent around the salaries. And this is some sort of like the first little inkling of light. And I really wanted to, support Natalie from that moment. And she's not let me down since. There's just been so much to really cheerlead from the side. So really thank you for being here today. And that cheerleading is also partly due to the entrepreneurship and the strength that it gives me to see other women talking about, fighting for and really taking part in that conversation around entrepreneurship. And Natalie, I'd like to welcome you in with that very first question around language. And I love to hear people's interpretation of language. So if I was to pop the phrase social entrepreneurship out to you, like what connection does it bring you and how does it make you feel? How would you describe it?
For me, it's get things done for the good of people. And usually I use a swear word, but I'll spare your listeners the it today. But that is it. And it is, when I say the good of the people, that also includes the environment. But it's that connection, because you can get stuff done, but it's to what end? And that's the difference when you bring in the social.
Yeah, appreciate that. And actually we certainly don't hear that sort of phrasing often enough. Do you think it's kind of like, don't want to call it like a new craze? When did you first experience that or witness that type of entrepreneurship?
So if I track back, I would say in my grandmothers, both of them worked a million jobs, all in service. They cleaned hospitals, they were foster carers, childminders. There were always people in and out of the house, ultimately in need. And I never really understood until I got older where the jobs stopped and the care and the looking after people started. It was just how my grandmothers showed up. But some of it was their job. Like being a foster carer, you are paid to do it. And so as I moved into my own journey of entrepreneurship, I started off as a retail entrepreneur. I originally wanted to be in the music industry, but went into retail. And for me, retail, the connection there in terms of people is they're trying to make people feel good. In this case, it was clothing. I had a modern clothing store. And I loved that feeling of a woman coming in and saying, I've got this really special event. I just want to look and feel amazing. And then styling them and then, coming out of the change room and going, oh my goodness, like I love this. It was that. It was never about the sale. It was the moment and the feeling.
Shift.
Exactly. And so from that, I'm moving into working with charities and in old money terms, CSR. It just all came to life to me then that I could build businesses that inherently existed to do good, and profit and revenue was a byproduct of the good work, but it's equally as important because it's the energy to keep going. And it means that you can bring more people to the party because you're paying them, or it means that you can have a bigger network of freelancers, or it means that from a credibility perspective, people start to take you seriously. So the two always go hand in hand.
Yeah. And I think, do you think that, I would say certainly from my friend circle, they feel unloved, uncared for, not heard in the workplace. And that conversation feels too frequent, sort of for my liking. And I often feel that I'm supporting friends, sort of saying, trust your instincts as well when things don't feel right. Because I know that certainly that experience of, not being included, if you like, in the whole mission, that we're all there to do the same thing. Actually, if we work together, great things can happen, but yet not feeling a part of that. Do you again hear that actually I guess people not being considered to be a significant part of this conversation around positive change?
So no, but I think that is because the world I have come through, I've only ever been around people that have looked at purpose before they've taken a job, or
Yes.
and people that it really sit in their own intention around what it is that they want to do. So almost by design, people I spend the most time with, yes, work can be challenging.
Yeah.
They have a connection to why they do what they do. Even if they're in completely corporate spaces, they still have a connection to why they do what they do. What I would say is that when I'm out and about doing events, I meet more people that sort of go, yeah, I think it's amazing that you've managed to build a career where you've aligned your purpose and who you are with the things that you're passionate about, and then being able to make a difference. And I didn't know it was possible.
Yes,
And it's
absolutely.
people not knowing that it's possible is the conversation I have more often.
Yeah, very true. And yeah, I think I was one of the odd ones in my family, in my sort of friends group, because I always enjoyed the work I did because I believed in it wholeheartedly. Yeah, absolutely. Like, you look a little bit too happy, Claire, to actually be working at the same time. Because I've always loved what I do, and actually the connection with people is a massive part of all of the wellbeing I've done. So yeah, I can see that sort of shining a light on that for sure. So could we kind of, I guess, get into your career quite considerably? Because I also think it's quite rare that your career has held a trajectory all the way through it. I think sometimes, we go on a world of discovery and we get to where we want to get to, but there does absolutely seem a thread. And if we just almost observe and take in the journey you've been on, it's abundant in experiences. I have noted here franchisee, campaign manager, board member, author, director, chair, co-chair, broadcaster, columnist, co-CEO, Chancellor of the University of Westminster. That was a beautiful journey to observe. And right now, running for Mayor of London. Wow. I mean, when I say abundance, so could you walk us through, I guess, there is that golden thread going through, which I feel like, you've certainly addressed, but I'd love to know kind of, was there any sort of like big moments for you, real light bulb moments or magic moments in amongst that kind of kept you going, I guess, on the trajectory?
Absolutely. And it's always easier to recognize the light bulb moments in hindsight.
Hindsight.
I'm definitely someone that I instinctively do the next thing that feels right. And I listen to the signals of what comes to me. And it's a slight digression, but I get lots of people sending me messages, and I really do mean it's lots of people that say, when I do a new thing, I didn't expect this, you to do this thing. Like, how did you go from being over here with subtitles? So I'll pick one, broadcaster. How did you go from being broadcaster to co-CEO? I'm trying to figure out how to do that. And I don't, in my mind, it's really natural and instinctive. So it's a precursor to sometimes when something is just a muscle that you have, it's hard to unpick why it twitches in that way, because it is just a muscle now. But I would try. And I guess if I start with, I've always been someone with a very high sense of agency. So my personal, intrinsic, internal makeup is built around a premise that I can do whatever I set my mind to. I am the most important person to consider when it comes to how I'm showing up. So I should never let other people's feelings or perceptions or thoughts of how they see me determine who I am. How I see me is the most important piece of the puzzle. And then what is really key, and this is language more in entrepreneurship theory, that locus of control. If you put in the time, the effort, the work to understand systems, structures, processes, you can change things. So that sense of agency follows me from role to role. I go into things saying, there is something that needs to be fixed, there's something that needs to be done better, there is an opportunity to celebrate this thing. If I put myself in that place, I can make a difference.
Yeah.
And because I internally have this idea about myself, aligned to then a personal value of freedom, I do work that enables me to feel free. My career then makes sense. So Badass Women's Hour, we started because it was the early days of podcasting. Most of the podcasts were men speaking to men. When you switched on the radio, the only show, realistically, and Sandy Toksvig released this stat, the only show that was women speaking to women, female voices, was Women's Hour. 4% of all radio output was women speaking to women. Men speaking to men was in the high 40s. And so we approached our network and said, can anyone get us a meeting, LBC? And at the time, talk radio was spinning out of TalkSport. And we had a friend that said yes. And we went in and we said, you need a show like ours. So myself, Harry, and Emma, you need a show like ours. And they said yes. And for lots of people, they sort of think, it must have been a big negotiation. No, we pointed out there's a gap. Exactly. We can fill it for you. We had to do a lot of work to get to the live show. So we worked behind the scenes, just podcasting for like a year before they said, all right, you can go live. And they thought that we'd stop showing up because no one was paying us. We had to produce it ourselves. We had to do the guests ourselves. But going back to what I said around, having a high sense of agency and locus of control and the people around me, Emma and Harry equally. So we were like, well, we can do anything. So that's the important thing that I want people to take away. When you have that mindset shift, well, what's different if I say I have power already, as opposed to waiting for someone to give me power? Yes. If I apply my mayoral hat right now, it's exactly the same. For most people, they go, why would you run from there when you have no financial capital, you don't have political capital, no one knows who you are, you're going up against the big parties? I'm like, well, I have everything I believe I know about myself to be true, which is I can see how systems work. I'm a CEO. I understand organizations. I'm understanding a mood and a moment and a feeling right now that people want change. They want an alternative candidate to vote for. So all I need to do is put one foot in front of the other.
Showing up again.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's really important, I think, as well, to see that it's not just a red or a blue vote. It can be red, blue, orange, it can be all so many things, but we do need people like you to stand for that and to actually give us that hope again, potentially. Do you think there is like a little bit of, what one hope do you hope for run in this process of running for mayor? What one thing would kind of be the ultimate?
58% of Londoners that didn't vote show up. 42% of Londoners decide who is running London, therefore how we all live. That isn't enough figure, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it really isn't. In a city that is a global city, but also a diverse city in so many respects. A city that should be able to take someone from one version of a world where possibly they don't feel like they have opportunities and don't feel like they have agency, and one where they don't necessarily feel that they will be anything because they don't know what they're aspiring to. London should be a city that takes that person from that place to, I can do anything, I can be anything, I can go anywhere. Yeah. But it can only do that if we all show up and vote the leadership that makes it happen. And so the shift for me, the thing that I will be looking for on polling day is how many people showed up to vote this time? What percentage? Yeah. And then obviously I want to win. The indicator is how many new
actually showed up to vote. Yeah.
Key word, right? Showing up. I think we're
showing up. I was just going to say we've got a little bit of a theme going on here now. Do you think as well in terms of your decision making? So even when you've actually chosen the roles that you're in and you're within them, what do you think underpins your decision making? Do you kind of have almost like, I guess like you said, this is like a muscle now. It's kind of intuitive. It's already kind of functioning. But is there some sort of like check in? Like, do you kind of pause when you're making a decision and think, actually, all angles, the people involved, the planet, the social impact, the politics, if it's relevant to the situation? Do you feel like there is like I don't want to call it a criteria, but a checkbox or something that you kind of have found really useful?
I think it's less of a checkbox. It's what's happening internally and in my mind at the time. So I'm someone that when I see something or feel something or an opportunity presents itself, or even if I'm watching something, if there's like an internal fire that, and and sort of the tingles on the arms and the heart flutter, where I go, okay, hold on, I just need to pause on why is my body reacting in this way?
Yeah.
What's it telling me? Why is it telling me this? And then I go on a really quick journey of just exploring. And so even if I'm watching something and there's a scene that makes me feel like, I'll just pause it and like, I might Google the characters, or I might Google the word, or whatever made me feel that way, and just say, oh, what does this mean? The key word for that is curiosity. I'm a very curious person.
Yeah.
Myself, well, and there is a luxury in terms of having the time to be curious. I absolutely understand that, and it's a privilege to have the time to be curious, because most people just have to do the next thing to survive. So following my curiosity is part of the criteria. Following my bliss. So then, if I start exploring something and there's a joy that I feel, I will continue to follow it. I haven't said follow my bliss for a long time actually, but it's even running from there is just so hard. And every morning I wake up and I'm, why am I spending all of my money and all of my time doing this thing? But and to have people say not very nice things to me, but there is still a joy in waking up and feeling like I can make a difference, and there is a joy in being able to, when I hear something terrible going on in the world, say, okay, I'm going to get up today, I'm going to go and speak to people, I'm going to find out what they want, I'm going to create policy that means that they can show up and they can put an X next to a name in a hopeful way, I'm proud to do this way, not is this it? And so that there is a joy in doing things to me. And then I think the final loop of it probably is going back to the freedom bit, things that enable me to feel free. I have always gravitated towards spaces that enable me to expend my energy and use the agency, which is why I never went through a corporate pathway coming out of university, because I recognised that the pace of change and movement is quite slow, not necessarily up, but just in terms of even using your own voice. And that for me was far too limiting. So I do things where I get to be absolutely who I am. And I don't want to say sort of being authentically me. It's just as long as I can show up as me and use my voice and use my networks and use the tools that I have to deliver the purpose or the aim or the goal, and I know it's where I should be.
Yeah. Feels what's coming across in your response there as well is that there is a sense of not ignoring what you feel ultimately of something or a situation, or there is that sort of intuition of, oh, that's just like hit me here, or it's hit me here, or it's brought a tear to my eye, or it's had some sort of physical response in your body that you could otherwise wait and see how it lands with everyone else and see if it's important to them and then go for it. But actually it feels very much led by your initial feeling, and then you go out and explore it and see how it's landing with other people. Do you agree?
I would say everyone has intuition.
Yeah,
completely. Has had the time or energy or space to explore or learn to listen to it. But we all have it. I think it is very much a nurture, a nature tool. You have to nurture your ability to know what to do with those things. I was with a friend yesterday, and she said, she was talking about an ailment, and she came out in a rash. And where we got to was, where she is in life is that because she's a doer, she's not necessarily doing it. And boredom for her, and I get this because I'm the same as well. When you're bored, actually it can make you ill. So when you immediately stop doing things at a pace that you enjoy, a bit like when people retire, right? And suddenly goals that they've never had. I'm never sick. She was talking about this rationally, we were like, it's boredom. It's the fact that you're not doing 100 things to deliver your purpose. Your body is literally just reacting to that.
Yeah.
We both sort of felt like, oh gosh, who are we? But it's so true. Your body, I believe, knows what it is that you need to be doing, and your body knows how much energy you have to expend. And if you don't, it has to go somewhere, right?
Yeah. I actually work a lot with children nowadays. I've spent a lot of my wellbeing career working with adults, and almost accidentally, although I feel very, it was meant to be. I went and delivered some sessions at school. 29, so out of a class of 29, 26 children expressed that they found it difficult to get to sleep, and were communicating that to me, and it was just really strong. And since then, I've gone on to do breakfast clubs to help children get into school each day, through the forest school, through outdoors, through nature, after school clubs, all about the conversation of well-being. And my tool is aromatherapy, and I love it because their response, physical, like that expression almost, they cannot hide from it at all. So it allows them to be very authentic. They sort of feel like I have some sort of crystal ball. How do you know what I'm thinking by the way that I've responded? How do you know I like this and don't like this? And they try to trick me and do all this thing. But it's also about trusting instincts as well, and getting them to actually smell something and trust, does that feel right? How does it make me feel in my body? Or is it like and sort of note that, but also notice that in like a month's time, you might not be averse to it. And that's exactly what happened. And I've got to this point, we're 18 months in now, where the children are starting to go like light bulb moments, but along the way, they've faced boredom. They're like, what's happening next? They want to be everything's really, really fast, one thing after the other. What's next? What's next? And we haven't actually done the thing before the next thing you want to know that's going to happen. So can we just be present here? And and I do it a bit of tongue in cheek, and we have a bit of a giggle with it. But how children are run like so fast ahead of themselves and are waiting for me to guide every session to the nail, and I'm just allowing them to be free. Oh, you want to run around in the field? Off you go. That kind of thing. And it concerns me that children are affected by these traits that I would say is like sort of understandable in an adult. It concerns me that it is present in children. I know you work with sort of younger people too. Like, do you also see this pace, this fast pace, this rushing ahead, this kind of getting, almost afraid to get bored? I don't know. There is a sense that they're kind of leaping. Do you witness that too?
I think there are multiple layers to this. For me, I think the young people that I meet operate at a level of anxiety that's up here, which is not a frequency that I had to grow up in or with. And so the element of being high alert all of the time, added to the immediacy of information on that scrolling device, added to, and this is maybe more of a London thing, the pace of London, which is literally go fast all of the time. And I do it. I start walking to a station and all of a sudden my speed just picks up and I'm sort of zooming in and out of people and trying to figure out, am I at the right end of the platform to get to the door, to get quickly.
Yes.
So I think just the energy level is up here. And for a young person who even isn't naturally at that place, I think that sort of the behavior, you end up sort of just having to match it just to survive and get through a school day.
Yeah.
What I think we need to do for young people, I keep saying young people, children, sort of underloved by society. We need to allow them to be able to play and find their own pace in life.
Absolutely.
I did play a lot, and also I didn't play a lot as a child. As a child, I wanted to be an adult, very, very much so.
Yeah.
So I didn't play as much as other children, but we were allowed to play out away from home in the parks and kind of climb trees. My caveat is I only ever climbed to the first branch. I had no interest in going to the top. I'm like, if I fall. I had this thing with breaking bones. I was hit by a car actually as a child, and I think just there's a thing with so in breaking bones, falling is not a thing I personally have a connection with what I want to do. And so creating spaces in London where children get to be children and they get to play and they get to be at peace, where you remove anxiety, you bring the anxiety level all the way down and create moments of peace for them. And I think it's really hard to say, well, that's what the family structure should do, because if you think about a household, whether it's a household of guardians looking after, I was raised by my grandparents, or it's your parents, or you're in some kind of kinship care, everyone's probably working, and they're working at pace. They're leaving the house before it's dark in the winter and coming. So it's hard for that peace to then happen at home somewhere. So as a society, we do have to create it. And that is where we're absolutely missing a trick in terms of supporting so many other life outcomes, because we're not just creating things that bring young people joy and peace and fun and play in a way that we should. And I'm going to also then add it to the workplace. Like, why did the Googles of this world and all of these other organizations create lots of space for adults to play? Because they realized that playing and sitting quietly in the meditation room.
It was seen as quite indulgent, wasn't it? Like a bit self-indulgent to have a little bit of a pool table and a fruit bowl.
Well, the idea of biophilic living and plants, it seems normal to us now, but workplaces weren't like that. They were blue carpets and white ceiling tiles, and that's it.
That's visualizing.
Exactly. And so, as humans, we need those things to be at our best. When we did a breathing exercise at the start of this, when we breathe, when we have moments to breathe, we can do more. And I think, I mean, I'm totally going off on a tangent here, but there is an element of so much of how we live right now, whether that's children, as young people, and as adults, where we are not living in peace, at peace, with peace. And leaders, political leaders, business leaders, can actually help create that and bring that back.
Yeah, agreed. And maybe it starts with that connection through playfulness as well. Definitely brought out my playful side. Working with kids, I literally didn't realise I was the class clown until I started this work. And I was in a private school, and the kids were very tentative about touching anything, like, textures. I put lots of turmeric to get their fingers stained yellow. And one day I put on a clay mask, and none of them would put it on. So I literally scooped it all and just went for it. I went, come on, guys, let's live a little, like mucking about. And by the end of it, we were in absolute fits of laughter. And that's what I took away from the session, was just like that little breakthrough of just having a bit of a fun moment, no agenda, no one watching it, no one's going to be filming you and putting it on Instagram or anything like that. It's literally, we're just going to have this moment together, and it's going to be a bit of a giggle, and we'll always remember it. We built rapport because of that moment, all because of a silly little moment of a green clay mask on your face. But yeah, getting children to really relax, get stuck in, feel. Even I have lots of props, oranges, turmeric, all this thing, and they ask permission to touch them. And I'm like, if you feel cool to touch it, go for it. Like, don't squeeze, do whatever. Oh, can I take the peel? Absolutely. Going to release the oils. It's this sort of like cautiousness almost instead of playfulness. I'm really curious about as well.
I think if I wanted listeners to pause on any other, another word that we're using, it is element, and also fun. I think in a social media world, whilst when we see people having fun, usually it's fun to sell us something.
Yeah.
Just seeing people genuinely having fun. Well, generally, if you're genuinely having fun, you have your phone right next to you. But just in case someone does, I don't think people feel okay posting their joy and their fun because it seems indulgent. It's like, gosh, if we only ever see the bad stuff, if we don't see things, why do we spend all of our time looking at dog and cat videos? It's because they make us laugh.
Yes.
Because animals don't know that you're supposed to behave in this sort of way. Mine definitely don't. I mean, if they did, my life would be a lot easier. My two pups make me laugh all the time because they just do the wildest things and they're having a great time.
They live like nobody's watching.
Exactly. And that is, if each of us bring that into our lives a bit more, our wellness will increase so much so. When I talk about London having a vibe and London having a buzz, London was fun. London does not feel fun. You get on the tube and everyone looks sad and austere and threatened and anxious. And I don't believe that is the way it needs to be. And I know that to be true because I moved out of London for a while and I moved to Hove. Hove has to be one of the places full of the happiest people I've ever met. And it helps.
I was going to say, I'm in Sussex too. It's a very different vibe. And we used to go to London to plug in, we used to call it.
Yeah.
Plug in and get like the boosters on, but actually it's harder to get that actually. Yeah, you're right. The energy is very different. So can we talk a little bit about status quo and how you kind of I feel you question it from a place of morals or beliefs, or there's an alignment there. I don't feel that your communications are ever opinionated and kind of, you must do this and I don't believe that this should be this way. I always feel like you just broaden, if that's right. I feel like you broaden our perspective on a topic. Kind of, how do you, I mean, that's how it comes across to me, and this is just me being an onlooker. I appreciate from afar and things like that. Again, is that your intention with the way that you communicate out? It does feel very naturally that's what I feel vibe off. Really.
I don't like being told what to do, so I don't tell other people what to do. It really is that simple.
I'm with you then.
It's just if the fastest way to get me to not do something is to tell me to do it.
That's a good little insider tip.
Options, totally. I'll probably do the thing that you want me to do. Just don't tell me to do it, because then I'll be like, oh, no. Again, high agency. I feel for my family growing up. So when I share messages, here's a perspective. Here's an observation that I've had. Here's a thing that I'm doing. Here's the reflection on this thing, and then what people do with that information is up to them. Agreed.
And I feel like you achieve. Like I go off and sort of like then, it's really interesting. I've thought of it like that, and then just kind of see where my own self goes. I don't feel then you told me what to do. It just feels like you just opened me up to something. It's just a case of
it's connected to the curiosity bit, right? And I guess I know that not everyone is curious or has the time to be curious. But I like to share things that then spark in Blue we talk about the what if. For me is a joyful way to communicate, and a more fun way to communicate. I like writing. I enjoy the cadence of the words. I don't think people always understand what I'm trying to say. I use a lot of commas. There is an absolute cadence and a story that I am trying to share whenever I put something out there. And it is in the way that I'm telling the story. I want people to go, oh, and then do something that's appropriate for them to do. And even if they don't, but they've engaged, I hope it's planted a seed. And so it's been important to document the journey that I'm going on in terms of running from there, just in case anyone else decides that they want to independently get involved in politics or understand what it would be like to do it within the bigger parties. I'm sure you'll have seen on LinkedIn, I always then couch it in what this means if I was in business.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the principles are the same. I am running a startup campaign. The
Mm.
challenges that I'm having building a political campaign are exactly the same that I would have if I was building a startup right now. And so when I talk about leadership, I talk about political leadership, but I also talk about, well, this is what it would look like in business. This is how I see my friends show up and do this in business, which is why we know it can be true in political leadership because it's happening elsewhere. And that, for me, again, just intellectually, I'm a student of all of this. I'm not calling myself an apprentice. That to me is an intellectual way of talking out my experience and learning on the go, which again I think is important for everyone to recognise that we're always learning. And as soon as we decide that we're switching that learning on, I can imagine life gets very grey.
Yes.
And I don't want to live in a grey world, personally.
I'm sorry that I wore grey today. Just looked as you were saying grey.
So as I was pausing, I wear a grey. But visually, and see, this has been shift. My flat used to be different shades of grey, and now there is colour everywhere.
I'm always trying to, I don't know why I fell into the navy category for a lot of years before bringing in a bit of colour. I guess sort of talking about a bit of colour, let's sort of latch it into Earth Month because we're actually delighted to be speaking to in this particular month. I appreciate that this podcast will be out there for a lot longer than this month, which is absolutely brilliant because it shouldn't be Earth Month or day, it should be all the time on our agenda. So can I take us back to Baloo for a little while, your work there, because it does sort of, I guess, shine the spotlight on a very important precious resource of water. Could you talk to me a little bit about how you can help us see water in perhaps a different way and a different light? Because that is absolutely what Baloo is all about. I mean, 100% of your profits going to water aid. I mean, it's serious business. And I would love for you to just sort of perhaps reflect on your time at Baloo so far. I know it's certainly not nearing an end or anything, but I'd love to sort of have a little bit of an underpinning of this lovely resource, water. It's simple, but
so I love that you picked up. Our purpose is to change the way the world sees water, and when we came up with that purpose, and actually, just at the beginning, so I'm not the co-founder of Blue, I'm co-CEO. The founder actually started the company.
Sorry, yes.
But Charlotte and I, as co-CEOs, co-founded the strategy, and we talk about ourselves co-founding the strategy for the next 10 years. And what we realized is that in the UK, in the Western world, when we get to drink a glass of water, we drink anything. You sort of just do it. You take it for granted that you can just open a tap or be on the go and have this resource. There are millions of people, so 1 in 7 people, remember there are billions of people on the planet, do not have that luxury.
It's unfathomable.
And luxury probably the right word to use, because it's a human right. We should all have it. They don't have the luxury of being able to have a drink of water as and when we need it. And so for us, it's like, wow, how do we make sure that everything we do means that everyone can do what to us is so fundamental to life. If you're not hydrated, you will die. You can have food for a little while, but you won't get far with hydration. Exactly. So how do we bring this to people all over the world? And then how do we make sure that when you think about hygiene and sanitation, so let's go back to COVID, what was the thing that we all had to do to keep ourselves healthy? Wash our hands. If there is no water to wash your hands, how do you then stay safe? Because you're not going to have lots of antibiotics floating around either, are you? So it's like, okay, well, there are millions of people around the world who can't do that. When we think about just being able to go to the toilet, I mean, I have the worst bladder ever. And I'm the sort of person that I have to sit on the end of an aisle at an event. Like, I'm going to need to go to the toilets.
Difficult in London, especially if you have a week there.
And so this is there's a side point. There's a campaign to get more toilets at train stations, and it's something that's been for a really long time because people traveling. Actually, even just if it's for accessibility reasons or health reasons,
Yeah.
having access to a bathroom is so important.
Mhm.
There are people, again, millions of people all over the world that do not have that access. And actually, in going to the bathroom, it's also the safety risk, because that is when
Yes,
you're
the vulnerability.
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. You hear about, women going, to live in fields, open fields, and of course it's vulnerability.
Uh, Great. On my induction shared the story with me of women going into labour, giving birth, and then there's no water to clean the baby. They can't have showers afterwards, and so a woman will have a baby on blood-soaked bed, and there's no way to clean it or wash it, and so the next woman does that, and this is why we then have mortality rates that we do. And I was just like, I can't. No, this is
Yeah.
not right. This is not right. And so I never drink a glass of water without thinking about the fact that there are people that do not have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
And therefore, everything that we do at the Loo needs to be about making sure that those that are without have. And
Yeah.
then the bigger bit on this is that we also then say, well, how do we show up as a business that says
Mhm.
we can be a business and we can generate profits and we can give them away? We can also regenerate the environment. And we can also have a huge focus on water conservation and stewardship. And we can rebuild biodiversity. And we can prove that you can get to a zero carbon position, not net zero, not any of these other fancy things, not offsetting anywhere around the world,
Yes.
but absolutely pushing to remove all emissions from your whole supply chain. And so waking up every day with that level of alchemy and being able to change things is so powerful for me as a CEO. It's powerful for Charlotte as a co-CEO. It's powerful for our team. And that's not to say that we get absolutely every decision right. And there are times when we're sort of grappling with how you do stuff, but we're honest about it. So we don't need to publish our audited accounts, but we get them audited and publish them so people can see what our profit position is. And so they know that is exactly what has gone to water. They can see what we're spending, our impact investments on biodiversity, because we produce what we call our purpose P&L. It's there for everyone to see. You can see what our emissions are. You can see how well we're doing against our goal of delivering the Sustainable Development Goals. We changed our company articles to put shareholder primacy out the window. It's secondary to us. Delivering Sustainable Development Goals is first. And there are all of these things that you can do when you're in a business that really sings to what I said at the beginning, getting stuff done and doing good for people. And people, planet is intrinsic to that. And so it's a long-winded way of saying the Loo for me was a gift of a role, because I get to expend a lot of energy doing the commercial stuff to then be able to deliver goodness at the end, as opposed to spending lots of energy on sort of commercially making money to then make people rich. I have no problem with capitalism or wealth. I believe in money. I don't believe in greed.
Great.
And so that for me, it's been a wonderful 4 years. COVID was really hard. We're a B2B only business. There's lots we had to figure out to get back to a place of recovery, but we did it through being honest with each other, through building trust. I have a brilliant senior leadership team. We've got people in to understand why we do the things that we do, and even if they've come from a corporate world, they've had to adjust to, well, we could do that, but is it the right thing to do? It could make us more money, but what's the environmental impact? It could, sure, we could diss the competition, but then we'd be showing up as, people that spend all of their time talking about other people as opposed to focusing on what we're doing for society. So I love Blue. I sincerely hope that I win on the 2nd of May, or when the results are announced. I will be very happy if I get to return to that world should I not win, because I still get to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think, like, when you use the word hope there, would you also hope that as a result of everything you do, and no matter what role it is, there is full transparency.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's absolutely, it feels like there's this sort of like underworld almost, and it's so confusing for us all in lots of situations, this lack of transparency and honesty and openness. And actually, just it's been tough, and it's going to affect, things are going to affect, none of this blame anymore. It has to be about, actually, this is just the reality, that this is how we're going to move forward. And we've taken a moment to acknowledge it and be open about it. It's really lacking in our world.
I think it's lacking because we've had leaders that have sort of said that people can't handle the hard news.
Yeah.
And actually, if you tell people the hard truth,
yeah.
the economy is in the crapper. So therefore, we're all going to have to pay a little bit more for a little bit longer to make sure that we have an NHS that's running well, to make sure that we have police forces around England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, that are serving communities, to make sure that we have road infrastructure and rail infrastructure, all of these things that you need to live better. I think people go, okay, you've told us why, you've given us a timeline, you're telling us who's working on these contracts. Yes, okay. What we have is a bit of, 3 promises, 5 promises. You're not going to pay for it. Oh, but you are paying. It's just tell.
And not teaching us, and not teaching us resilience. Like allow us to actually build resilience. One of the stats, I'm studying a forest school leadership course at the moment, and one of the stats in there was that I think it was something like 1918. We would probably be about 6 miles away from our home on an adventure, climbing a tree, doing all sorts of things. Yeah. Nowadays, we're about 300 meters from a trusted adult. So again, we haven't allowed our children to build resilience, let alone ourselves as well. And we're not sort of showing up. Actually, we can navigate these tough times as well. Like, almost give us the benefit of the doubt that we are capable, because actually you're telling us we're not capable. And as a result, there's anger brewing and frustration brewing and all these other feelings, because we're like, it doesn't feel right and we don't know quite what to do about it.
It is also been a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So you have a generation growing up saying, I'm not resilient and I'm not capable, and I don't feel strong enough to handle this hard thing.
Yeah.
And then when we start to say, okay, well, we have a mental health crisis amongst young people. Yeah, because we haven't created any systems or structures to enable them to feel like they can handle tough things.
Yeah.
And I genuinely believe that humans can handle a lot. We really, really can. And the shift that we're seeing, or I believe that we're seeing now, and I hope that we're going to see around the world, this is the year of election. There is no other time in history where we've had this number of people going to the polls. People start to vote people that they believe are telling them the truth. And the people that they believe are telling them what the tough choices are and what the trade-offs are. And whether or not it's true is a different thing. Specifically in my campaign, the bit I'm having to control of myself is when someone posted on something on social media saying, oh, I just saw this thing. She talks about transparency, but there's zero transparency. And I was like, what thing are you telling me that I'm not transparent on? Because I'm about to fix it right now. First of all, I do not believe that whatever you found is true. But if it is, I'm fixing it.
Yeah.
I have no reason, I have nothing to gain from not telling everything, telling the full truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I have nothing to gain. So for me is I'm hot on it. Yeah. Which I will answer any question as long as no one else is at risk or affected. I'm an open book, and we should be, and I share. And it's also not easy. I'm sharing everything about my life. I'm sharing my whole self. I shared a video with me out dancing with girls at the weekend because it's important. I wanted to show I have fun.
I was just going to say, it goes back to that fun bit. The girl can have fun.
Exactly. We put leaders don't know if you remember the video of the Finnish, Danish, dancing. I think she was 33, 34. She was dancing. There was a big uproar. She's dancing. What? Really?
We're going to deny her that?
We can't laugh. We can't sing. We can't dance. I mean, so
it's a bit like that movie. Is it? Where they can't dance and things like that. It's just
what world are we in?
The rebellion that actually the whole community might start dancing.
But it makes people then be dishonest. Because you can't, and this is who I am. Do you, if you want honesty, then let us show you, all of us. And yes, there's private time too. We can't live our lives obviously documenting who we are. This is it, and it is the honest truth. I think that's going to be really important.
Yeah, I was thinking about environment and kind of like to be able to share it that way. I guess you do have to absolutely have your your community, your people, if you like, around you to enable you to show it for who you are. Like, do you feel that that's something, again, you've always had pretty much? You've been able to create that space. That feels really important.
I'm lucky in that sense.
Yeah.
So family wise, and I was allowed to be who I wanted to be. I got to play out, miles away from home, climbing trees. I'm Jamaican. There's a DNA thing, Jamaicanness of just be brilliant, full stop. No other addition to the sentence needed.
That's where the dancing comes from.
The dancing, the celebrating, the sitting and celebrating life, just those moments of peace, family coming together with food, all of that. It's my Jamaicanness for sure. I think as I've got older and I've chosen the place that I wanted to work in, I've then been around like-minded people that recognize that to do purposeful work, to do work that's about other people, you can't be a shadow of yourself. You have to show up in all of your glory, but also the shadow elements of you too. So when I joined Faloo and we were in the middle of lockdown, conversations that I was having with the team were, what's your shadow side? Who are you on your worst day? Because if we know that about each other, and given the challenging, stressful times that we're all under, people homeschooling, worried about family and friends, worried about our own health, that shadow side is going to appear. And so
beautiful question to
ask. But also know that whatever comes out is not then about the person it's coming out towards. It's that actually you're in a challenging moment and we should help you and support you or give you space.
So you've got that network there, but then how do you kind of work like with yourself and self-care? I talk about aromatherapy. It's absolutely my go-to. I always have my little bottles all over the place, and that's my thing. What's your thing? What's your way to self-care and to nourish this so that you don't essentially burn out and deplete?
I'm really good at that. I'm an introvert, so it always starts with get quiet, still, very still. It smells. So winter, summer, every season, I always have candles on. In the morning, the first thing I put on is a candle. Just getting the smells and changing the energy in the room. Again, whatever the weather, I will always open the windows and let fresh air in. I like to sit in light. And so I don't know if the term is sunbathing, but when you bathe in light, even if it's cold, but just that feeling of
it's actual feeling light.
So I do that, and I can do that whilst on the go. So yesterday, a small moment that the sun came, I was walking to the station, and the sunlight was just on me, and I just stopped for 30 seconds, and you just you take it in, and it's so regenerative. I like dancing around my kitchen in my pants, eating crisps with a glass of wine. Like that is my number one thing. My walking the dogs, getting out into nature. I love hearing, running stream. I love hearing moving water.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really soothing. I love hearing the birds, in the morning, stopping and just hearing the birds sing. It's, I guess all of those things are about grounding yourself in being present and in the moment. But for me, I think there's sensory things that
Yeah,
calm sort of the busy brain and the internal
yeah,
narrative, and they
yeah.
slow my heart rate, and
Mm,
they bring peace. Again, I can do all of these things really quickly and instinctively now, because now it's a muscle of
yeah,
looking for
great.
moments of relaxation in a busy
Mhm.
day.
Yeah, my partner Sean and I were always joking because when we ever have conversations about meditation, he'd be like, "Oh, you know, I should benefit from a little meditation plan." And I'd be like, "I meditate all the time, Sean," and he's like, "I never see you meditate." And I said, "What does meditation look like to you?" It could be literally commuting or doing whatever, and I will just sometimes I'll be driving and I'll pull over on the lay-by because there's a really cool view, and I just say I'm just going to literally stop here, pour myself a little cup of tea from my thermos. I'm just going to take it all in. That's my meditative moment. Like that's it. It doesn't have to be like this curated thing that essentially people don't claim to have time for. I think some of my best meditations are actually just in really busy environments where just tune into one sense, or just pause and close your eyes. This still moment. But we always have a chuckle about it. This is almost sort of more. I've got to sit in this position. I'm going to I'm not, in the right frame of mind to do it. I just think catching moments. One of my best recommendations to my clients is when you're brushing your teeth, open the window, take in the view while you're brushing your teeth. I said that the legal requirement for brushing your teeth is about 2 minutes. So you've got 2 minutes of self care right there, and then it's like, oh, I never really thought about it. Just those sort of touching moments. Yeah, thank you for sharing your self care moments, because that's really really helpful for us. As a result, do you also, being introvert, I'm introvert too, do you benefit from slowing things down in terms of pace? I mean, it sounds like, we can all get caught up in, like you say, when everyone's walking really fast in London, you can all find yourself doing it. But do you kind of embrace the slower pace where possible?
Lots of people don't think, they assume because I'm a busy person that I'm
Yeah.
always busy. And I
Yeah.
often say to them, I have slow mornings, I have slow evenings, I have slow lunches. I can absolutely slow down and be still for long periods of time. And people sort of say then, well, when? And I'm like, well, sometimes it's when I have the luxury of time, it's programmed into my diary. When I
Yes.
don't, I just find it. I can stop. So the tube, perfect example. You get on the tube, everyone's on their phone. When I'm on the tube, I'll generally try and stand and have no one else around me, no phone, and I take the stillness of whatever length of journey I'm on to the next one. And I try and quiet my mind in that moment, especially if I'm then off to do lots of things. I can sit and just have a coffee, whether it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes, again, no phone, just watching people, just observing.
Yes.
I find those sorts of things really easy to do. I'm not someone, I never wake up and jump immediately out of bed and busy myself. I always stop, the dogs are there, always, every morning. Coffee, and then I do all of that slowly. And any morning, and it's few and far between, I would say maybe once in a month, where that has to be quick. I feel it for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
That process to me has to be really slow. You have to light the candle.
Yes.
I used to, during lockdown, I would put the Classic FM or Jazz FM on. The presenters on Classic FM are the happiest people in this world. I get it, because there is something about classical music that is just so uplifting. They are literally the happiest people in the world, no matter what time you're listening to. Recently, because I've got so much going on, I can't listen to I can't have sounds in the morning. In the shower, once I get to shower stage, then I can put some music on. So again, long-winded way of saying it, but I find those so much stillness.
Yeah, brilliant. One of the things I've started doing is actually, because being connected to the whole world, it feels really important to me. Not feeling like I'm just in this little village in Sussex kind of thing. Being connected, and I started listening to Japanese lo-fi chill. So rather than just lo-fi chill, I was just like the Japan, and I was just like, oh, I literally could be transporting myself anywhere. And I think that's really important in terms of feeling connected as well with self-care and a bit of music.
I do want to acknowledge this. People, I'm sure, are listening to this all over. Well, you have to find what works based on your city, you know, life circumstances. I can do that in the morning. I don't have children, so again, my life is very different. The cadence of my life is very different. So I think everyone can try and find even 5 minutes in a day for themselves. I'm finding that stillness in the heartbeat of London. It was much easier for me to do it when I lived in Hove by the sea, because you just go for a walk. You'd hear the roaring sea. So I think being able to adapt and not putting it off until a holiday is the biggest gift.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you end up just getting a cold or something anyway, do you? You crash it on the holiday, and that's never a good thing. Natalie, can we talk a little bit about feminine energy, and kind of not necessarily from the sense of, the male and the female. It's just very much a little sprinkle of something little special that feminine energy brings to maybe the entrepreneurial conversation or to the political conversation. What do you think that little special sprinkle can offer in any situation?
So not everyone will get this. I listen with my heart. And then so I'm a linky brain, so like left and right brain. I can listen with my heart and then pragmatically process what it means in my head. So you rarely see me being overly emotional or overly, even if the fire is raging, by the time it comes out, I've gone through the process of, okay, so pragmatically, what does this mean? I have a view and a feeling, but what's the whole picture and spectrum? And I think feminine energy is being able to listen with your heart and to know what it means and knowing what to do with it in that moment. I think we can see it definitely in business, where you have leaders that are doing that, both male and female leaders doing that, listening with the heart, the sorts of businesses that they run. You can see it in the words, you can see it in the product, you can smell it. It's very, very different. But I think it's fun to run businesses in that way. It takes more energy, but it's much more fun.
Yeah, agreed. And if we were to kind of think about, I guess, anchoring your day as well, you talked about loving language, you like writing, obviously with the podcast and things like that. Do you have any sort of like favorite quotes, mantras, favorite songs that you're dancing with your packet of crisps? What do you tend to?
My calendar, not my work calendar, my personal calendar, has daily quotes, and so it's a sequence of the same ones that I've got all of the time. So at the weekend, quotes and saying. So at the weekend, dolce far niente, the simple art of doing nothing. So it's an Italian phrase that pops up at the weekend, and it's a reminder that nothingness is absolutely valid. And it's not that I need the reminder, because I'm very good at deciding to do nothing. It's more that seeing it brings me a joy, and if it pops up and I'm still having coffee in bed, I can sort of like snuggle into it a bit more.
Yes, me too.
I had Rumi. He is a letter to everyone. You open it, it says live. That's another one. We're not on a journey to save the world. We're on a journey to save ourselves. Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey.
Hero's Journey.
You give me any Thoreau quote, meeting success in uncommon hours. That's another one. And so I have these sort of moments of reminders that sort of just appear. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, great.
Yeah. They always make me smile, actually.
Yeah.
I always find they make me smile.
If someone asks me to share a quote or post something, I usually choose something by Amelia Earhart, Eleanor Roosevelt.
Mm.
There is nothing they've ever said that has been turned into a quote I disagree with, especially Amelia. And I consider myself an adventurer in that way.
Yes.
If I could choose another one, it would be an adventurer. In another life, I would be a mountaineer or a pilot and doing those daring things because I don't like breaking bones. I'm
Actually, I love that you say that. It's something that came to my mind recently. You know, when people would try to describe, what do you do? Because I've got to the point where I've just called myself Claire Wellbeing or Claire Rebellion these days, because there are no titles that really are fitting for me anymore. And adventurer does certainly feel like it definitely pops up for me too. That reader and all these different, terms, I guess, that they are. Feeling of spirit, Yes. What about books? Do you have kind of, I guess, a go-to one that you're always recommending? I actually, with Holly Tucker's book, I actually bought 10 copies when I read it, and then I bought 10 copies and just gave them away. It was just one of those sort of things I just to share with others. And the reason I jump around our autism journey experience as a family. Have you got anything like that you're kind of obviously recommend? Perhaps Joseph Campbell's on that list, and maybe anything that you're reading currently?
So I struggle to read at the moment because I'm producing so many words.
Yes, good point.
Words and sounds. I mean, I just struggle. So I like to read for joy. So there's taking information in for
of course,
useful action. But if I'm reading and it's a book, I want it to be joyful. So the books I read that really shaped me growing up, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's not about money, it's about mindset. 1 Minute Millionaire, same thing. It's not about money, it's about mindset. The core of the story is it's written left brain, right brain. If you read one side of the book, it's a story and a narrative. The other side is functional calculations and tips. But the idea is if you had to make £1 million in 30 days because your children's lives depended on it, what would you do? And it's the journey of this mother basically trying to get her children back, and she has to build £1 million business. And I read it probably when I was 17 or 18. And what it did to my mindset in terms of, again, agency and the ability to not have something on Monday and by Tuesday it's there. And the ideas of abundance and the universe and energy and all of those things, they were the books I read. And recently, I would say, if someone was looking for a book, David McQueen's Brave Leadership. Brave is another word. We haven't used the word brave or courageous yet.
Courageous, one of my favourite.
They're really important times in the times we're in right now for leaders. It's going to take bravery for us to get to a different place. So that would be my recommendation. And again, it's another side. But it's one of the reasons. So I'm struggling with social media at the moment because I feel really frantic when people say negative things. Because in my mind, I'm doing something that's brave and courageous. I'm putting my whole good self into it. And when people don't see that, I'm like, what? Why are you seeing anything other than goodness? Like I literally don't understand. But then I'm trying to be empathetic. But their view of me just is different, and it just is. Like it's really hard for me to process my bravery and my courage and my goodness is being seen as anything otherwise. And I think if there's anything that has tired me out in this process and made me want to quit, isn't necessarily the right word, but got me close to thinking, I don't need this. It's people not seeing that. It actually hurts my feeling.
Yeah. And thank you for saying that, because That's the truth. That's how, whilst we can go, oh, I don't care what they say, the truth is it hurts. It hurts, and it's consideration for how we all, not thinking about how we all communicate, the commenting on someone's, being thoughtful, just pausing for a moment, embracing a bit of slow when you're communicating, and having a think about impacting others. And yeah, thank you for being open to say that. Yeah, I know the feeling when you're out there doing good and you think, how could it be seen in any other way, shape, or form? Like, it's impossible. And you still find a way. You're just like, oh, you could still go there. My goodness. So, Natalie, you're going to take a sabbatical from Baloo, as you've mentioned. Like, how does that sort of moment actually feel to you right now? Like, does it actually sort of feel like this is actually a heart moment for you, as you mentioned a moment ago? Or, yeah, I'd just love to know how you're feeling. It's quite, I don't want to call it like a leap of faith, but I feel like it feels like everyone's supporting you, and actually the sabbatical is part of that support ultimately. It's protecting some time and focus and on something quite particular. I would love to know how it's feeling in this moment.
Well, because I'm still on emails and I'm still on Teams, it's not like a break from the team, and I have answered a couple of things. I'm very good at compartmentalizing. What I would say and what I didn't expect is, because I'm someone that can do multiple things, I'm much more efficient and organized and sharp for the bank holiday when I was doing everything. Post the bank holiday, and I don't just think it was the bank holiday break. I woke up not necessarily having to need to think about Baloo, not having that structure and pressure there. I was like, actually, what am I doing? My day is, I have it's just set. We start the week, everyone checks in, says what they're doing. So you jump on that, then you're into emails. You go from emails, we've got, these meetings are in. And without all of that, I was at sea, and I was like, oh, I know I've got a million campaign things to do. But I was discombobulated. Actually, I messaged my interns, and I was honest with them, and I was like, look, guys, here's a list of things that we need to do. They're not in priority order. They need to happen. Shout if some people have been allocated tasks. If people want to volunteer for tasks, let me know. I just don't really know what's going on right now. Hopefully I'll know by the end of the day. Maybe I just need a coffee. Still felt like it yesterday. I did an interview for the BBC, and it didn't go well. I didn't feel as fluent. Like, the stuff that I'm saying, I know. It didn't feel fluent. We came out, and I was with one of my interns, so actually he was just amazing. And I said, I'm having a moment of anxiety, not because of the interview, because she asked me if I was nervous, and I was like, nervous because I know this stuff. It's like, something's going on. Like, I feel like I'm forgetting something, or something I'm supposed to do. And I was like, can we just go and sit down for a bit, and can I just go through everything that's in my brain, and we just need to organize stuff. And then she's like, I'm going to do a project plan. I'm going to write down everything we need to do, because I can't think about the whole month. So we've basically got 27 days to change this, depending on when we're listening. But based on like today, there's a moment in time. We're doing it. It's 7-week sprints. I know what we need to do for the next 7 days, and I don't want to start thinking too far ahead. And I basically just brain dumped, and she organised it. And it's only today, waking up, I was like, okay, I feel like I can create a new cadence. So again, another long-winded answer, but for the people that operate really well in a structure, which would surprise some people, removing it did just throw me through a loop, and I wasn't prepared for it. I just thought I'd wake up on Tuesday and be like, right, let's
of course. I've got this space now, I can go and do this. It has to be a transition. I think we underestimate that there does need to be a space in between things for things to kind of peter out. I had that in a very bizarre example, but my partner had to have shoulder surgery and couldn't drive for 3 months. And we've got 3 children. I've got and I literally went into this mode, like you say, it's almost like stepping into the fear bubble of the SAS, and I was just like, I know what I need to do, I know what I need to do. The moment he started driving again, I did not know what to do with myself. I literally would sit on a chair and just, I don't know what, and I felt like, oh God, what's going on? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I feeling weird? It's just, I was totally fine once I was in it. The moment I came out of it, I was like, I actually don't know what to do with myself and actually don't know what to do. And I ended up not doing anything. It's kind of the beauty of it, isn't it?
Well, so that, people joke about, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. I think
Yeah.
the thing in that is busy people can figure out, because you're in a space of doing, you can figure out just
Yes.
how to continue to do. If
Yeah.
you're not doing stuff, I guess it's like right? Going from stalled to moving takes a lot more energy. Once you're moving, the momentum of movement makes more movement and going faster easier.
Yeah.
And even though I know that, it was just I hadn't set up anything for myself.
Yes.
So it's, I've lost a couple of days of possible full productivity.
Yeah.
Because it was Tuesday, it's Friday today, and today,
Yes.
now I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Taking a couple of days.
I can go now. So I guess, finally it takes us to that place of just, how best to connect with you and how can people best support you on your missions, Natalie? Like what is your preference around communication and
So depending on when you're listening to this, if it's pre-May the 2nd, go to teamcampbell.london, check out my vision for London, check out how an independent's running the campaign, politics aside, if you're just curious in terms of how you go from the process and going from 0 to 100, check out LinkedIn, just Natalie D. Campbell, or Instagram, Nat D. Campbell, or Team Campbell, because I'm showing the process. I've got a docu-series on YouTube as well. So for curious people, that's the way. And if it's post the election, I'm sure I'll be doing other things, just sharing the reflections on the journey. And they'll be connected to the conversations we've had now around how do you do it and stay well? How do you do it with your full heart? How do you do it in the midst of criticism? How do you do it when you can't control lots of things? And what are my new tips for anyone building a startup? Because it's been a while since I've built a startup. I've been a CEO for 4 years. I've been an entrepreneur for 4 years. So doing it 4 years later with a different level of financial capital, different level of social capital, has thrown up some other thoughts and ideas. I'll be sharing all of that too.
And really that's what we have to thank you for. Thank you. It's literally warts and all. And we really do appreciate, I think it's the honesty. That's how I've always chosen to show up. And we need more people to show up this way. Open, honest. It is what it is. It hurts. I talk from my heart. This is language and transparency that we should absolutely do. And we can't thank you enough for doing it, being here today. Keep on doing it. We're absolutely, you've got a team that is so big outside of London, in London, out of London, around the world. Just know that energy is with you to take our positive words forward with you as well. Thank you so much.
It's been a fabulous conversation.